Hello and welcome to Crooked Letter Sports Podcast, the show about Mississippi sports and the folks who play them. I'm Tyler Cleveland from Scorebook Live, Mississippi, joined as always by my cohort, Rick Cleveland of Mississippi Today fame. Dad, how was your weekend?
It's pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah, pretty much OD'd on football.
Yeah, me too. I feel like I've watched a season's worth of football already, and we are just underway. We got a lot to get to today, so we're going to jump right into it. We've got Southern Miss losing on the road at Kentucky, Ole Miss and State with big wins, expected big wins, I should say, but maybe not that big. Mississippi State puts up 56 points on Eastern Kentucky. Ole Miss scores 76 on Furman. You said the Rebels would name their score, and that's what they named.
It could have gotten 100.
Oh, easy, because it was 50 at halftime. You have any big takeaways on any of those big three?
I don't know what you can say about any of them. I mean, every one of them was the result I expected. I guess if there was any big surprise to me, it was that Kentucky just really dominated Southern Miss.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk more about all three. Just before we go any further, we got our guest today, David Brandt from the Associated Press, a longtime Mississippi guy who you and I are both very familiar with, have bent more than a few elbows. He's now out in Phoenix covering all kind of sports for the AP, but one of his beats is Arizona State, Mississippi State's opponent this weekend. So excited to have David on.
Real proud of all that he's accomplished. He's one of the two main national baseball writers for Associated Press now. He basically covers the West Coast and dabbles in college football, and that's good for us because he can give us a first-hand look at Arizona State. And Tyler, this is a huge game for Mississippi State.
It is a big game. Well, let's start with State since we're on it already. The Bulldogs, like I said, put up 56 points in a win over Eastern Kentucky. Hard to judge much based on that competition, but it did look like the Bulldogs were a little bit more proficient offensively, let's say.
Oh, I was really impressed with the quarterback. I mean, he's done it before, but he's in a whole new offense and new style of attack, up tempo. That what he wasn't doing at Baylor, he's now doing at Mississippi State. And if the first game was any indication, he's ready.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a fun season of football in Mississippi, especially with those two. I mean, I don't know what you can say, what more we can say about Ole Miss. We're just going to find out about the Rebels later. I mean, they play Middle Tennessee State this weekend. They're a 41-point favorite at home.
They'll cover.
Yeah, I think they'll cover. And honestly, I just don't know that we're going to know what we've got with them. I mean, we know they're good, but don't know exactly what we've got with them and may not find out until that, midway through the season.
That's right.
Let's talk a little bit about Southern Miss. As you mentioned, you didn't expect them to get dominated the way they did. I will say Kentucky had plenty of help.
Oh.
I mean, Southern Miss, the miscues, early on it looked like Rodemaker was a little razzled through into coverage a couple of times. I felt like at one point it was like 17-0 and it should have been, 10-7. I mean, they should have been in the game.
Well, early in the game, it looked like Southern matched up across both lines. And then all of a sudden, Kentucky just took control with, as you say, a lot of help. Southern drives the ball down the field. Rodemaker looks sharp. Then he throws the ball into coverage. Kentucky gets the ball back, throws what should have been a pick six.
Yeah, dropped it.
Guy just drops it. It could easily have been a much closer game.
Well, his name escapes me, but I think the guy that stood in Southern Miss's way more than any other was that nose tackle.
Number 0.
And Ndamukong Suh Jr.
Or 3.
I don't know what the hell number he was. I know he gave them problems the entire game.
He didn't need a number.
No, doesn't need a number. You can pick him out on the line. Completely dominated Southern Miss up front. I thought the big takeaway from the game was Southern Miss 5 rushing yards on 12 attempts. That was an area you knew Southern Miss needed to get better in. They need to run the football and be a little more balanced. That's been their Achilles heel since I was covering them for the Clarion Ledger like 6 years ago. So, they got to get better. I don't know they'll face many fronts like that this year.
No, that's the best they'll face.
But, I mean, that wasn't encouraging to me.
No. They're going to have, they play Southeastern Louisiana, Saturday. They should win, and ought to win comfortably. But then the next week is the game that really going to tell the tale for them.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens this weekend. I hope to see them be able to run the football a little bit. They've got to take some. It does not matter who you have at quarterback if you cannot protect them and run the ball a little bit. I'm not talking about, you don't have to set the world on fire. We don't need 200 yards rushing. Just
100 yards.
2.5 to 3 yards a carry would be an improvement at this point. So they got to get that figured out. Elsewhere, Dad, I wanted a quick hit on some of these games, get your take on them. The SEC went 1-2 in the 3 marquee matchups against the other conferences. The one saving grace was Georgia just walked Clemson 34-3. It was fun to watch because, Clemson's been doing a lot of talking. But, 34-3, Georgia looks really good again. The other 2, Miami walked into Gainesville and beat the brakes off of Florida. I've never seen, I don't think Florida and Florida State have ever both met with an interim coach. We can see that this year since Florida State started 0-2, which is hilarious. Notre Dame beat Texas A&M 23-13 on the road. Mm-hmm. So you had any takeaways on those 3? I know you watched some of all of them.
Well, also LSU getting beat
that was the other one, never at USC or in Las Vegas. I kind of chalked that up. I mean, USC looks pretty good, first of all. Let's start there. But I just thought LSU just, they were in a position to win that game in the fourth quarter and couldn't find a way. And I don't know if you saw Brian Kelly's little outburst after. He said, we're talking about the same things we were talking about last year.
Well, he also threw his quarterback completely under the bus.
Yeah, well, I mean, was good. It's not going to end well for him, I don't think.
No, I don't either. I never thought it was a very good match, and I still don't. But the guy that scored the winning touchdown for USC should be
Woody Marks.
Yeah, played at Mississippi State last year. Another illustration of how. In the portal, if you really do need to spend that $10 and get you a game program.
Yeah, well, you should see the line of boosters outside the football office at Tallahassee trying to get their money back. They moved to King's Ransom for the DJU or wherever. That's what I'm gonna call him because I can't pronounce his last name, and it's just been
the quarterback.
Yeah, it's the second week in a row arm punts. So
he kind of looks like a deer in high headlights out
there. He
does.
So any takeaway on do you read too much into that, a troubling trend for the SEC, or do you think it's just chalking up to week 1?
I think we got to see a lot more football before we call it a troubling trend. Those are.
Well, the other ones, most of the other games, they didn't play anybody and blew people out. You look at Alabama, they just, won handily. I saw a meme that was, before it was joyless murder ball. Now it's just murder ball. They seem to have a little bit of joy in it. So, I think the traditional teams are going to be pretty good again.
Georgia just looks like they could be playing in the NFC South.
They do. I wish that Ole Miss game was soon. I wish that we could see, because I'm worried that what's going to end up happening is that, Ole Miss looks so proficient offensively, and I feel like that matchup is going to be, Georgia's defense against Ole Miss's offense, and I just don't want either one to get too banged up before that game. But I'm sure the Ole Miss fans would love to see Georgia's defense get a little banged up before before that. Well, I'm excited to see what Georgia can do on down the line, Dad. They look to be pretty good.
I don't know what the spread would be if they faced off against the Saints right now.
I'm gonna be dogging on my Saints. Yeah, we haven't lost a game.
Yeah,
well, let us flounder out of the gates.
We haven't played one yet.
Let us flounder out of the gates before you start trashing us. I got high hopes. Dad, I want to, without further ado, I want to bring in David to the show. And just for background, this is one of our good buddies in the sports writing business.
Oh, one of the best. We had him for about 10 years here in Jackson, and made a lot of trips together and covered a lot of stuff together.
Yeah. Well, let's get into it without further ado. Here's our buddy David Brandt. An old friend, an old distant friend now, David Brandt of the Associated Press. David, I'm going to start off by saying we still miss you in Mississippi. Really proud of you for all the success you've had with the Associated Press, but Mississippi's poor for not having you around, buddy. Welcome in.
Thanks, man. That's a heck of an introduction. I appreciate it. I miss my time in Mississippi, too. My folks still live in suburban Jackson, so I get back a little bit. I saw Rick this summer. Great to catch up. And just, there is no better place to tell stories than Mississippi as far as a training ground, as both of you can attest to. So thanks for having me on.
That's what we do in Mississippi. We tell stories, and some of them are true.
I'm about to say, some of them are tall tales.
Some of them are whoppers.
Yeah.
Well, we don't embellish around here. For those listeners that don't know, David, you were in Jackson for 13 years in Mississippi. Started off covering Jackson State for the Clarion Ledger, covered Ole Miss for the Clarion Ledger, and then went to the AP for a number of years before moving out to Arizona. You know, I know you covered Arizona State last week, which is, you know, interesting for us because that is our big game this weekend, Mississippi State with Arizona State. Kind of give us the lay of the land there and how things have gone for the Sun Devils.
Well, Arizona State, Kenny Dillingham, their second-year coach, kind of put it, I thought, succinctly after the game. Somebody asked him, you know, did you feel overlooked after, you know, coming into this year? And Kenny said, no, we've been 3-9 the past 2 years and signed a bunch of guys that nobody wanted. So I think we're about where we should be. And so, you know, he was exaggerating slightly, but it's true. It's a program that has been 3-9 the past couple of years. It was kind of at rock bottom after the Herm Edwards era sort of ended poorly with NCAA sanctions and some different things like that. So it's a team in rebuilding mode. It's a team that's hungry. And they played really well in the opener. They beat a Wyoming team 48-7. Wyoming's actually supposed to be a pretty good Mountain West team this year, and Arizona State really handled them. So there's a lot of excitement. I think it is a program on the way up, but it's also got a ways to go. And in a lot of ways, just from afar, it seems kind of what Mississippi State's going through these days.
The Bulldogs beat Eastern Kentucky 56-7, and I would say Eastern Kentucky is going to be a pretty good team in their conference, but honestly, don't know what the hell conference it is.
Ohio Valley, baby?
Right, maybe.
Yeah. Everyone moves around.
You're probably right.
I don't know.
You're probably
Eastern
right.
Kentucky might be in the Big Ten. I don't know.
They maybe everybody else is these days. But you know, it's hard to take away much from that game other than Mississippi State seems to have found a semblance of offense after you know, a year in the woods after Mike Leach. So I think it's a pretty exciting game for both fan bases. I mean, pretty good measuring stick, you think?
Yeah, I just think it's a fascinating matchup. You know, when Arizona State came out as the favorite, it's just, boy, gambling is not for the faint of heart. I have no idea how you would handicap this game or anything. So I do think Arizona State is better, and what they did against Wyoming was interesting and fascinating. But I really want to see them do this against a team with, you know, SEC speed, as they call it, and stuff like that, but some better athletes. And so we'll see how it goes. Arizona State, they do have a quarterback now that's pretty decent, Sam Leavitt. He was the backup at Michigan State last year. So he came out, he was 14-22, I think, 258 yards. And so, you know, a good debut for him. And just, you know, he's not going to blow you away. And really, I would say this about the entire Arizona State team. There's not a bunch of guys on the team that are just going to just blow you away with athleticism or, you know, like 6'5" receivers, different things like that. But it's a lot of really solid, talented guys who are maybe a little overlooked and are hungry. And so that's kind of what Arizona State's going on right now.
Dave, one thing I wanted to ask you about is you spent 10 years going to ball games here in Mississippi, and now you're out there in the dry West. Talk about the difference in the culture of going to a football game in Starkville or Oxford or going to a football game at Arizona State.
It's just different. I mean, Arizona State is a very obviously urban campus. It's gigantic, you know, and it's just a different feel. I mean, you know how life is in the SEC. Football Saturdays, no fall weddings, that sort of stuff. The world stops on Saturdays, and everybody does college football. Here in Phoenix and really kind of on the West Coast in general, like there are pockets of big college football fans, just as anything as you would find. But just because there's more pro sports options here, it's just not quite as ingrained in the culture as it is down south. That's the best way I could describe it. Like it, SEC football kind of is the South in the fall. I mean, it's one of the things that defines it. College football doesn't really define anything out here in the West, but I will say there's a lot of rabid Arizona State fans. Again, it's just a huge alumni base. So I expect actually a really good crowd this Saturday. They haven't been, like I said, Arizona State's been 3-9 the past 2 years. It's been a pretty ugly run for fans, really, for the past since COVID. So I think that they're really looking forward to, just something to cheer for. And I think this is the game that they've kind of been waiting for as a real litmus test to see if this team's going to be a factor in the Big 12 or not.
Yeah, I know you're kind of removed from Mississippi now, but this is a huge game for State. I mean, if you're looking down the schedule and looking for 6 victories, I mean, they play arguably one of the 3 or 4 hardest schedules in the country.
Sure.
I mean, it's just brutal. And you look down that schedule and you're looking for 6 wins to get to a bowl. This has pretty much got to be one of them.
Well, and for Arizona State, I mean, they're sort of saying the same thing too, and it's not that you have to win this game to get bowl eligible, but it'd be really nice. It'd be a real step in the right direction. And so I just think that, it's been fascinating what Mississippi State, obviously with Mike Leach, super sad situation. It was just a tough deal they had to go through. So both programs kind of climbing out of the abyss for different reasons, but it's just a fascinating matchup. Like I said, I expect a lot of Bulldog fans out here too. It's a good place to watch a game. It's a good stadium. Tempe is fun downtown. Like it's a good college atmosphere, and I think it's going to be one of the best ones I've seen since I've been here, because Arizona State actually has a semblance of hope. Like the last couple of years, like Oregon would come to town or something like that, and fans would try to get up for it, but you knew what was about to happen. And so, this is one of the first times in a few years that I think there's a lot of hope in the Arizona State fan base.
So what will the temperature be at kickoff?
Well, 7:30 is after sunset these days, which will help a little. But, I mean, if it's a sunny day, it'll probably still be over 100. At kickoff, it'll probably be 101, 102. And it is, I mean, like all joking aside, it is a fairly dry heat. I know people in Mississippi down south, like they know about heat. It won't be a total surprise. It's just a little different. It's, instead of being in a sauna, it's more like a furnace. Yeah. So slight differences, but it'll be hot. I think Mississippi State will acclimate fine to it.
Well, I got out to Las Vegas earlier this summer. You can keep that desert heat, man. I'm out on that.
I mean, the way I describe it is if it gets over, it is a dry heat, but if it gets over 110, it's 110. Like, I mean, it's just hot. Like,
yeah, and it's like you think you get some break when the wind blows. It's like a hairdryer.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And the worst for me is at night, it just doesn't cool down super quickly. So you'll be walking out of a bar or something like that at midnight, and it's still, you feel that hairdryer right in your face, and it's still 98, 99 degrees. So it's just different.
Well, for the State fans who are listening, with Arizona State, are they like 50-50 run past? Is there one thing that you'd say State has to do to win the game to stop?
I don't know if there's one that they were pretty balanced against Wyoming. And again, that's because they were dominating from the outset and they could run it a lot. I think this is a pretty balanced offense. That's what Kenny Dillingham wants to do. Sam Leavitt, like I said, is an upgrade at quarterback. He's very solid, but he's not really a guy that's going to light you up for, go 35 for 45 for 500 yards. That's not what the Sun Devils really want to do. They want to control the line of scrimmage. They've got a running back. He's actually got a great name. His name is Cam Scattaboo, and he's He ran for about 50 yards. He's been one of the few guys that's kind of a veteran on this team because you know how college football is, all the transfers these days and stuff like that. But he's a guy that's played Scattaboo because they were so injury racked last year. He played running back. He played receiver. He played a couple different receiver spots. He played quarterback some. He was the punt returner sometimes. So really he was a finalist for the Paul Hornig Award, for the most versatile college players. So he's a guy you got to look out for. I'd say if there was one key for Mississippi State, it would be to get Sam Leavitt uncomfortable. One of Arizona State's big pluses is they have a super experienced offensive line. I think their left tackle, this is his 7th year because of injuries and COVID and all that different stuff. They've got other guys that it's their 5th year, their 6th year. I think the youngest guy on the line is 22. So there's some grown men up there up front. So in Wyoming, that was one reason why Wyoming just got picked apart, was because Leavitt had all day. I mean, he could do whatever he wanted. So I'd like to see what Leavitt can do when he's under some pressure. If Mississippi State can do that a little bit, I think then that alters the ball game quite a bit.
Well, we appreciate you breaking them down for us because, obviously we don't get to watch a lot of Arizona State. I mean, it's on after Rick goes to bed, so
I won't. It won't be that night.
That's right.
Because I'm going to watch that game.
We'll see.
Big 12 after dark just doesn't have the same ring.
No, it does not.
12 after dark, and for me, it's just normal football now. I'm telling you, one of the best things about moving out to the West Coast is watching sports. It's a life hack. It's incredible. NFL comes on at 10 in the morning. College football starts at 9 a.m. It's great. You get your morning coffee. You watch the big, I was watching Miami, Florida, on Saturday with my coffee. It was awesome. So Good stuff all around.
Well, you don't have time to switch from coffee to Bloody Marys. It's just too bad.
So, Dave, what do you miss most about Mississippi? I mean, besides the drives back from Oxford after midnight.
Well, I mean, just personally, me and my wife, my kids, we loved Mississippi. We had a bunch of friends, and you know how it is. Anytime you feel somewhere where you're home and family. I mean, I like Arizona a lot, and our kids like it. It's great, but Mississippi will always, especially since my folks are still there. That's my home base. It feels like home every time I get back. I see guys like you. I see friends of mine. It's just, Phoenix is great, but it's a big city, and there's nothing quite like the smaller town feel of Mississippi, of Jackson, of all that stuff. And so that's probably the biggest thing. And then just there's also nothing like the Saturdays in SEC, football, and college baseball is also a little different. Arizona State actually draws some pretty good crowds, but there's nothing quite like those Friday night games in the SEC, of a big matchup, Ole Miss, Georgia. It's just, there's a lot of cool things, sports and personally, that I miss about Mississippi.
Well, you're covering a lot of pro baseball in your position. I mean, can you
yeah. I mean, my job now is incredible. I've gotten to cover the World Series, the Super Bowl, the NBA Finals, the Masters, the World Baseball Classic, the Olympics. Phoenix has been awesome as far as, my career progression and getting to do all kinds of stuff. But I'm telling you, there's nothing quite like an SEC Saturday. There's nothing quite like SEC. There's even, nothing quite like a Friday night of football.
That's right.
In Mississippi. Yeah. I remember, me and Rick, I guess this was 5 or 6 years ago, we went to see that Cam Akers was playing for Clinton against South Panola, and just what a fun Friday night that was, and what great competition out there. Those are the things I miss.
Well, I'm still hitting those Friday nights, and you're right. It's a lot of fun. We just had our first week last week, a bunch of big games, and you'll appreciate this. We've got Madison Central and Brandon playing this weekend over at Brandon,
and
they're
good stuff right there.
They're 1-3, so. You're right. I would miss that if I was to leave. Do you miss the food at all? I mean, that's what I think I would just go crazy. I mean, I miss the
food a lot. I had the weirdest thing. I moved out here, and about a month later, I started having these huge cravings for a meat and three. You know what I mean? Just I called my mom. I told her that, and she was like, "Boy, you really are from the South." But there's. I will say, and I should have said that, I think per capita, like for the town the size of Jackson, it has the best restaurants of any city I've ever been. I mean, there's great places to eat in Phoenix. Obviously, the Mexican food here is awesome. There's also surprisingly some really good pizza places around here and stuff like that. Like Phoenix has good food, but I just don't think, other than New Orleans, I'm not sure I've ever been to a better food town than Jackson, especially for its size. I miss Walker's every day. and give a shout out too, when I lived in Oxford, Ajax was one of my best spots too. And so all those places, I do miss. Mississippi knows its sports. Mississippi knows its food.
You'll be sad to learn that Randy Yates sold Ajax.
Yeah. I know.
I think we might have to end this. I mean,
he'll appreciate that.
Well, Dave, as much as you miss Mississippi, we miss you. We really appreciate your time this morning. I guess early morning for you.
It is. I'm in the take the kids to school era, so this is you just got to get up in the morning. That's part of it, but it's good to got kids in high school and middle school now. So
man,
unbelievable. Are the D-backs in town?
They actually just left town. They got done with a 4-game series against the Dodgers. They're on the road against the Giants this week.
Yeah. How do you like their chances in the playoffs?
Well, if you had asked me about a week ago, I thought the Diamondbacks were world beaters, that could handle anybody. But their starting pitching struggling right now. I still think they'll right the ship. I mean, they're a tough team to face. They've got, with Zach Gallen and Merrill Kelly and Ryan Nelson, Brandon Pfaadt. I mean, they've got some good pitching. And then Corbin Carroll's played a lot better. They've got some speed. And obviously, they should have some confidence after last year. So I think if they could get to the postseason, they'll be a problem. But they've still got to fight off the Braves and the Mets are both coming. They're fighting out for that last spot. And if the Diamondbacks don't watch it, they're going to be in a dogfight with them. So we'll see how it goes. They got to get there first, but I think they'll be pretty good once they get in.
All right, buddy. Great to catch up with you, Dave.
Good to see you guys, as always.
We appreciate it, Dave. Special thanks again to Dave for joining us. I mean, always a pleasure to talk to him. Dad, we got a look ahead just a minute. We mentioned Southeastern Louisiana coming to Southern Miss this weekend. How would you define success for Southern in this game? Obviously, they need to win, first of all.
Win comfortably and don't get anybody hurt.
Okay, and then we got. Do you have any? What would be your prediction for after hearing Dave's description of Arizona State? You got any bold predictions for?
He just told me something I didn't know. Arizona State's favored. I thought State would be a 2 or 3 point favorite.
6.5 point underdogs.
Well, I like State plus 6.5.
I do too, but like you said, betting is not for the faint of heart. Yeah. The other big game, I guess, in the elsewhere in the SEC, Texas is playing Michigan. Any predictions in that one?
God, Texas looked awfully good the other day. I don't know. I think Texas will win the game.
I sure hope so. I mean, it's it's not that I dislike Michigan. I just would like to see these SEC teams rack up a couple of wins to make these teams in Mississippi a little bit, giving them a little more juice.
By the way, on Texas, did you see the 2 or 3 possessions that Manning was in?
It looked okay. Looked like he's going to be okay.
He looked like he could start for anybody.
Well, he probably could. I mean, including them. I know Quinn Ewers is a really good player, but he's waiting his turn, kind of like Eli did. So we'll see. By the end of the year, he may be the starter just because college football the way it is now with the injuries and whatnot. So, but we'll be happy to get him when we get him. And once he gets that starting job, Texas football will be must watch every Saturday. Dad, we got some big high school football games this weekend. I'd be remiss if I did not mention we've got number 3 Madison Central at number 1 Brandon. That's where I'll be Friday night. I know you got a chance to watch some of Brandon the other night. They won 60-34 down at Picayune.
And people that don't follow Mississippi high school football closely don't understand how hard it is to go into Picayune and dominate. I mean, how often does that happen?
I mean, you usually don't have the ball enough.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like West Point, which is another game I wanted to mention last weekend. But that you go there and they hold the ball with their offense for so long, it limits how many offensive possessions you had. But Brandon nipped that in the bud just by scoring quick on offense. They scored 14 points on defense and another 7 on special teams.
They had a quarterback, a running back, and a wide receiver that all look like college players to me.
Well, they are all college players from what I can tell. I mean, and 2 of them are just sophomores, just for the record. A couple other big games around the state last weekend. Louisville won at West Point 15-14. I only mention that because West Point has only been held to 14 or fewer points 4 times in since 2019.
Yeah.
And 3 of them are against the Louisville Wildcats. And what was so impressive what they're doing up there. And then, this week, a couple of big games around the state. Your Hattiesburg Tigers are playing the Little Brown Jug game against Laurel.
The loathsome Laurel Tornado.
Well, Laurel's looking to bounce. Hattiesburg beat Petal 7-3 in the Leaf River Classic last week. Laurel coming off a very lopsided loss against West Jones. So 2 teams that are, it'll be a good measuring stick for both teams.
Always is.
Yeah, absolutely. That's about all I got for this week, Dad. What are you looking forward to the most?
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing how our Saints look. Their first regular season game Sunday at home against Carolina. If they don't win that one, it's going to be a long year.
It really will. It's a long NFL season, so to hang all your hopes on one game seems crazy, but that is exactly how I feel about this game.
Well, it's one of the few that you can look on that schedule and say, we ought to win this one.
Should win, right. And it being at home, always nice to kick off the season in the Superdome. Hope you guys enjoy some football this weekend. I know Rick and I sure will. Thanks for listening in. You can keep up with all of Rick's latest writings at MississippiToday.org. You can keep up with everything that's going on in high school football in Mississippi at scorebooklive.com/Mississippi. Y'all have a good week out there. We'll talk to you next Wednesday.